If you ever want to make the hair on the back of my neck stand up and send me to hide under the bed, just remind me that it's Friday the 13th. Well, I'm going to do that to myself by digging into the sordid details of the scariest day on the calendar, Friday the 13th, on today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Welcome to the channel. Everybody likes weird things and I am no different. Now, if you have a suggestion for a new video, a critique of one I already did, or rarest of all things, some praise for me, be sure to sound off in the comments below. Okay? Here we go. Friday the 13th is often considered an unlucky day in Western superstition. It also has its history in other parts of the world, particularly in Christianity. The number 13 especially seems to pop up in various religions and cultures, much like a societal Fibonacci sequence. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. It pops up time and again, seemingly always tied to a negative story. So with that out of the way, weird thing number 5. The fear of Friday the 13th is known as, you're going to have to work with me here, I'm going to try this, paraskevidekatriophobia. The term combines paraskevi, which means Friday in Greek, and dekatrio, meaning 13. I myself suffer from this. Not to the point that I pee myself when it's Friday the 13th, but I do have a strong desire to hide under that bed. Now, today being Friday the 13th, the bed's looking pretty good right now. No telling. Weird thing number 4. Where is the 13th floor? In many countries around the world, the practice of omitting the 13th floor is not universal. In the United States, very common for buildings to skip the 13th floor. Many buildings, including hotels and office buildings, omit the number 13 in their floor numbering. Now, in European countries, varies from place to place. In some places, buildings skip the 13th floor. In others, much less common. Now, in many Asian countries, the superstition around the number 13 not as prevalent. Therefore, buildings in China, Japan, and other are likely to include the 13th floor. Similar to Asia, and yet shocking, many Latin American countries, they usually include a 13th floor. And the superstition not as strong as in other Western cultures, this despite Christianity being the predominant faith of many South American countries. Weird thing number 3, Christianity. The fear of Friday the 13th is believed to have ancient Christian origins. Now, the association between Friday and the number 13th is linked in a lot of different traditions. Now, according to Christian belief, there were 13 individuals present at the Last Supper, with Judas Iscariot being the 13th guest. Now, the crucifixion of Jesus was also said to have taken place on a Friday. Now, quick snapshot for those that didn't end up in Catholic school like me, Judas Iscariot betrayed Christ to the Romans for 30 pieces of silver. Now, if it would have been 13, would have been a better story. However, is what it is. Weird thing number 2. Friday the 13th, the movie. Now, it is a popular, long-running horror film franchise that began with the release of the film Friday the 13th in 1980. The franchise is known for its slasher films and kind of blood and gore, featuring the iconic, unkillable character Jason Voorhees. Side note, I used to live on a street called Voorhees. Now, the original movie first came out in 1980. It was the epitome of a low-budget horror film, yet it achieved significant success. All told, there were 12 Friday the 13th movies. And while they didn't create the slasher film genre, the movies definitely put it on the map. Weird thing number 1. Countries where Friday the 13th isn't a bad thing. Now, in Italy, the number 13 is often considered lucky. The expression "fer tredici" translates to do 13, and it's the equivalent of the English saying to hit the jackpot. In Spanish-speaking countries, especially in Spain, Tuesday the 13th is considered unlucky, not Friday the 13th. In Chinese culture, the number 13 is generally considered lucky. It is associated with good fortune and prosperity. In Japanese culture, number 13 is also considered lucky. The pronunciation of the number 13, Jusan, is similar to the word for definitely alive. Now, in Greek culture, Tuesday the 13th considered an unlucky day. while Tuesday the 15th is considered a day of good luck. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked it. If you didn't, let me know. And if you have any ideas for future videos, I'm open to it. Have yourself a great night. Thanks again.